Buckle your seatbelt. It's time for another episode of the Prepper Recon Podcast. I've personally been buying gold and silver from JM Bullion for over 2 years. They offer the best prices over spot that I can find, and I've never had a problem with an order. If you're looking to trade in some of your fiat paper for real money, check out jmbullion.com today. Ready Made Resources is a trusted name in the prepper community because they've been around for 18 years. They offer great prices on night vision, water filtration, long-term storage food, solar energy components, and provide free technical service. Get ready for an uncertain future at readymaderesources.com. Hey Preppers and Patriots, this is the second half of my interview with Todd Sepulveda of PrepperWebsite.com. Enjoy the show. We've got a great pastor that's very open to the threats that we're facing, and we are able to say the word prepper to him. Of course, we didn't start out like that. You know, we kind of feel him out and see where he's at first, but he was very open to letting us do whatever we wanted to do as far as bringing the church up to speed. So besides putting the hand pump in on the irrigation well so we'd have water, we've also stored a few buckets of just rice and salt up in the attic because it gets really hot up there, but rice can take the heat and last for a pretty good while, and so can salt. So there'd be food and water, and then we also brought an advanced first aid kit that's kept in the kitchen there, because there's a lot of older folks there, and a lot of them are a little less stable than they probably were 10 or 20 years ago, and they can get hurt, or kids playing, they can get hurt. Anybody can get hurt at any time, and especially when you're in more rural areas, you're 20 minutes from the nearest hospital. So if they leave the second they get the call, you need something to be able to handle traumatic injuries or deep lacerations, things like that. Some blood stoppers and advanced trauma bandages and things like that. That's a good thing to have around. So we've done that, and don't you think that the church should be a place of refuge, and we should be involved in setting that up and take personal responsibility in making it that?
Sure. Yeah. I mean that's the way it's supposed to be. Somewhere along the line, government took over being, feeding people and taking care of people's needs. But, before that, it was the church. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And maybe we'll get to a point in our history when that happens again. But those churches that are prepared to do that, we'll be able to minister not only to the spiritual needs, but to the physical needs of people. So if you do have a community garden going on, and you can get bigger and you can grow, and there's churches with property that it's crazy. If you are in a more rural setting, let's just say you have chickens, I'm in the suburbs, but I have 2 chickens, right? It was kind of an experiment for me. So I have a little chicken tractor and chickens, and it's not hard. It's not hard, but let's say a church had a flock of chickens, had something, that they could do that, and then they had eggs, and they were able to give eggs out to people, and then the manure that was there, they were able to use that and compost that and use it for their community gardens. And so you had the if you're in a rural setting, man, churches can do some awesome outreach, do some awesome things, and to prepare themselves out there for emergencies, for a time where there will be some needs there. And that the first aid kit, I think that's an awesome idea. I mean, you think about how many people, that should be a question that every one of your listeners that's listening right now, when they go to church on Sunday, say, hey, Pastor, do we have a first aid kit, a decent first aid kit if anybody gets hurt here? If not, can we bless the church with that? And what a blessing if something was to happen. You have an Israeli bandage in there, and potentially you save someone's life because you have that you provided that thing. And I think that's just such a big blessing. But definitely churches should be out there. We should be leading the way, not only in leading people to Christ and leading people to a saving knowledge of that, but leading the way to meet people's needs all the way around as much as possible, as much as we could do.
When you look back at this spiritual decline that our nation's taken since Obama came into office, where would you expect us to be by the next presidential election cycle?
Man, that is a good question. I know that things are, I just feel it. I just feel that things are at a fever pitch right now. So I don't know. I'm not willing to say, hey, we're going to be here in Bible prophecy or we're going to be there. I don't think that would be wise for anyone really to say. My view is always that I want to know the views. I want to know the different, possibilities out there as far as the book of Revelations and Daniel and Ezekiel. I want to know Bible prophecy and the different views so that when it happens, I can identify it. The thing that drives me nuts is that the religious leaders of Jesus' time, they were there, they knew the scriptures, they knew back and forth, they knew it all, and they were expecting the Messiah, but they were expecting the Messiah to come in a certain way. It's like, hey, he's going to come, he's going to be a political leader, he is going to, restore Israel. They were looking for a military, political, they were looking at earth here and now, and they missed the Son of God because in their view, Jesus wasn't the Messiah the way he was supposed to be according to their view. And so when it comes to Bible prophecy and where we're at in the signs of the times, I don't want to say this one view is right, this other view is not right. I want to kind of know them and keep my eyes open. We still live our life. We still have jobs. We have kids. We have, a spouse. We just live life. But at the same time, keeping our eyes out there on the pulse of what's going on. One of the things that I always, we have that common interest in watching John Haller in watching his prophecy update, and he says, and there's some other guys who say, the percentage of the messianic prophecies, that Jesus fulfilled, is this certain amount happened during his lifetime, right? And then you have this big amount of that happened in that last week, and then you had even more happened that in those last couple of days. And so as we get closer to the end times, it's very possible that and probable that Bible prophecy, things are going to start heating up and moving a lot faster. And so those who don't have an eye open and keeping up to date with what's going on, can miss it. They're watching Game of Thrones, they're watching, Dances with the Stars, and all these things are going on, and they're going to miss it. So I am very, I'm just saying I am living my life right now with my eyes open to what's going on in the Middle East, what's going on here, what's going on, and just keeping my eyes open and my spirit open, to listen to and to watch what's going on, and make myself available. I do think that the time is short. I do think that it's getting crazy out there, crazier. A lot of people, I was listening to Chris Martinson, who does Peak Prosperity, and he was interviewing a guy not too long ago, and he was kind of even amazed that it has gone on. Even our economy has been able to limp along as long as it has. He's like, man, I would have thought that this would have blown up a long time ago. And so, we're getting to a point where it's like, yeah, at some point it is going to all implode. And whether it's the economy, whether it's, the Middle East, whether it's, one world government, all that stuff, keeping an eye on that, I think is very, very important.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Katie Armor offers affordable body armor, including level 3 trauma plates made of AR-500 steel. These plates can endure multiple rounds from pistols and rifles up to 7.62 NATO. KatieArmor.com. That's C-A-T-I armor.com.
Following a crippling EMP attack against the USA, college student turned survivalist Danny Walker finally makes it to his secure rural location. No sooner does Danny arrive than he is given another petrifying prophetic vision of the chaos still to come. The country has been brought to its knees, and the thin veneer of civility has been torn to shreds by the savagery lurking just below the surface. Danny has survived the EMP, but will he live through the most vicious era in U.S. history? Buy Ichabod, Book 2 of 7 Cows, Ugly and Gaunt, from Amazon.com today in Kindle, paperback, or audio edition.
Where do you see it? Where are you looking at?
I don't know, but I just see it. I see the true Christian church, and I think that we're hitting this sort of this dichotomy between the apostate and the faithful church. And I think between now and the next election cycle, I think we'll see a very clear difference. I think there's a whole lot of gray area churches right now. I think that that's going to be separated. I think there's going to be a very clear difference 4 years from now. And I think that you're going to see a lot more persecution for that faithful church, the ones that have not acquiesced to the culture, because I think that the demands from the culture are going to get much more severe on the church. And I think that those that are going to really stand up for Christ, I think that we're going to really start to feel the pain between now and the next election cycle. And I think that's regardless of who's elected. I think that we'll see it a lot more under Hillary than we would under a Trump presidency. But I think that Trump would probably more or less just slow it down as opposed to stopping it. So that's probably what I would expect the most out of it. But I think you're right. Economics, we've got to hit the end of the road of this this bad experiment sooner or later. I'm sure you've been watching the chaos in Venezuela, right?
Oh man, you got to feel for those people. You know, you see the pictures and people are eating, like grandparents. You see grandparents eating out of dumpsters and eating trash from the street. And you gotta feel for them and know that it slowly came came to be, and then all of a sudden it hit a fever pitch. So not too long ago you were hearing about they're running out of diapers for kids, right? You remember that? And then it went to there's a toilet paper shortage, and then it just started steamrolling from there, and then it started you had the thing with food, and then people really start having issues, and you got people that are rushing into grocery stores, and they're looting, and they're starving, and they're hungry, and what would a little preparedness done there? How would that have helped? It would have helped tremendously to have some of that. Yeah. So man, yeah, it's scary when you look at that.
Absolutely, it's one of the things that I so often encourage people to do is to buy a 20-pound bag of rice from Walmart for $7 or $8 and stick it in a $2 Home Depot bucket and slap a lid on it. One of the videos from Venezuela was them stopping a truck and looting bags of rice. And these people they're running away, stealing these bags of rice. The women usually had one bag, and then a lot of the men you saw with a bag over both shoulders. All of these people had the biggest smile on their face because they knew they were going to eat. Yeah. And right now it's $8. I mean, whatever job you have, at most, that's an hour's worth of work to get almost 10 days worth of food. Wow. In the form of a 20-pound bag of rice. It's right now, compared to what they had to risk their life because they were chased off by soldiers with AK-47s. When you compare that to the $8 that it costs you today, it's practically free.
Right.
So right now it's free. it was probably free for them 5 years ago. We've been seeing these videos come out of Venezuela for about 3 years between the rioting and the protests, but it's just now hitting that point to where we're seeing the ones where people are just en masse running into bakeries. The bakery workers are just walking away, and the people are just just pouring in over the counter and stealing whatever they can, and it's just filling up little laundry bags or little purses or duffel bags or backpacks or whatever, and just stuffing it with as much food as they can and running away before the authorities show up. And when you see stuff like that, I think this was about 2 weeks ago when they had the video of the bakery being just bum rushed like that. That place isn't going to open back up. They can't afford to do that. They're not going to take the risk. The workers are not going to come to work the next day. Even if the proprietor was willing to just keep forking out the money to buy the supplies, which are in very, very tight supply anyway, which is why this whole problem is going on in the first place. But this is just, they're at the end. They're absolutely at the end. And they're hunting pets now. They're killing dogs and cats. And then once the dogs and cats are gone, and we know this from the Bible, we know this from the Holodomor catastrophe after in Eastern Europe, when the dogs and cats are gone, people turn to cannibalism. That's the next step in this story, unfortunately, and it's the quintessential example that the end does come. People can say, "Oh well," and that's in the Bible as well. People have been saying, "Oh, where's this coming?" And we don't see it. But don't be fooled. That's Peter that says, God's just being patient. So don't assume that His patience means that it's never going to happen. And we got to get ready. We got to take advantage of the time that we have.
And and even if you didn't want to, even if you weren't coming from like a spiritual biblical background. People like Fernando Aguirre, who was over in Argentina, he talked about that too. He goes, when you start seeing the animals, when you start seeing streets without dogs and cats, and then that it's, that collapse is very, very serious. And so like just what you said, but the sad thing about it is that these people should be able to grow anything that they could possibly imagine. It's a tropical climate. I mean, they should have food galore. And it's, so when you have your government who is an oppressive government, and the people just stay back and they don't say anything, they don't do anything about that. But, the big wake up as you were talking to me is like, if you're a father listening to this podcast right now, if you're a father and you know how easy it is to store away some buckets and go to Home Depot and get some 5-gallon buckets, and even if you want to be a little bit more protective and you get the Mylar bags off of Amazon and do that, to not have some rice and even some beans and some spices and, like you said, some salt. I mean, it's ridiculous not to do that now. And people are like, well, Todd, I can't afford it. I'm like, yeah, you can. If you put your mind to it, you can, because we afford what we want to afford. We will go out and we'll buy that pizza. We'll go out and we'll buy that new cell phone. We'll go out and do the thing, go out to the movies when, that could have purchased some things. And so you put some of those things away and you put them in a closet, and they're good for a long, long time. And it would be silly not to have that right now. And so, like I said, if you're a father or you're a parent, you're a mother who has the ability to do that, you should have the ability to do that. Not doing that right now is crazy. It's crazy.
And then we talked about the fact that while things are delayed, it does eventually come. The check's eventually going to come due on our economic situation. When you look at the similarities between our culture and many of the cultures that God judged in the Bible. Are you surprised you've been able to get away with rejecting God? Over 1 million abortions per year, and blatant sexual deviance, and this has been going on for 4 decades. This isn't something new. I mean, of course, it's gotten worse and worse, but this has been an ongoing thing. Do you think he's going to continue to tolerate our culture as we become increasingly defiant?
Yeah, was it Billy Graham who said, and he said this a long time ago, but he said if God doesn't judge America, he's going to have to apologize to Sodom and Gomorrah, right? I mean, it is. You start looking around and you look at Sodom and Gomorrah and you read the account of Sodom and Gomorrah and know that, the story that you read about the angels going and getting Lot and wanting to pull Lot out, but the men of the city come, at dusk, and they knock on Lot's door and they ask, hey, give us those men. We want to have sexual relations with them, And so you think about that and like, oh my gosh, God destroyed that city, and where are we at right now? And keeping our eyes open and looking at the times and being aware of what's going on. For a lot of people, when judgment does come, it's going to seem like it came all of a sudden. But for those of us who are paying attention, we see it coming, and we see it, slowly gearing up. And so it is coming. That's one of the things that we're paying attention to. How severe is it going to be? I guess that's the question, right? How severe is it going to be? Are we looking at like a total boom, that everything goes to, collapses? Is it, do we go back to a third world country? Does God start sending natural disasters? I mean, yeah. So the question is not if, it's like, not if, but when God decides to bring judgment, because eventually that's going to happen.
And job market's still really, really tight. And I did notice that there is one company that's hiring, the UN. They have on their website, they're taking applications for disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration officers for their New York duty station. So I'm gonna put a link. I'm gonna put a link up to that, to the actual human resources site, to the UN for anybody that wants to fill out that application, or just maybe verify that it's actually there. I'm gonna put that link up in today's show notes.
I haven't seen that one, man. I want to see that. I can't believe I haven't seen that one.
Yeah.
Has it been out for a while?
A listener just sent me this link like a week ago. So
wow.
Wow. And state sovereignty, this is a really, really big issue. And I don't think there's a Christian or a conservative or a constitutionalist who thinks Trump is the perfect candidate. But I think that we can all agree that he has a much better ideology about the sovereignty of America than Hillary, who is she's a member of the CFR, which that's all public record. If people think this stuff is conspiracy nutcase stuff, but you can go on the CFR website, and that's Council for Foreign Relations, and they'll show you everybody that's a member, and the Bilderberg Group. That's a little bit more secretive to actually find out who's in that, but some of these things are very. You can just go to their website and read everybody that's a member. You can also find out the corporate sponsors. So that's all out there. And then I also think that he's probably going to be a better pick for the Second Amendment. Which that's one of the disarmament. That's one of the things that officer that's being hired for the UN. That would be one of your responsibilities if you got that job, would be getting rid of the Second Amendment. Supreme Court nominations, which are going to be very big in sticking up for the Second Amendment. We're going to probably have several of those. I would think that Trump's picks are going to be, while not perfect, are once again going to be better than Hillary's. And then I think border security. You're in Texas. I'm sure you see this all the time. And the new term is OTMs, which is other than Mexican crossers. That's one of the new terms from Border Patrol. Is that they're seeing a lot of folks that are not just Mexicans that are looking to come over because they can't find a job doing anything in Mexico, and they're just looking to come over and work in the fields and take jobs that not a whole lot of people wanted anyway. But there's a lot of other people coming across besides them in these very porous borders, and we're going to see a lot more Orlandos, and we're going to see a lot more San Bernardinos, and we're going to see a lot more of that type of stuff until we get this border lockdown. Do you think that these are reasons enough to just bite the bullet and get out and vote to keep Hillary out, if not to get Trump in?
Man, when you look at all those scenarios, yeah, I mean, you do believe that Trump would be a better choice in voting for president. But I'm not under any illusion that I do believe that maybe things would be a little bit slower under like a Trump presidency. But you still always hear about stuff that when the convention rolls around, that there's the Republicans, the GOP, or they're looking for ways to circumvent his nomination and all this other kind of stuff. I guess my thing is I don't want people, and there's a lot of Christians out there who believe that if Trump was to get it, right, Trump was to become the next president, but things would get a lot better, and we would go back to, the way things were. And what I want to tell people is, don't put your faith in a man. Don't put your faith in the answer is not Trump for president. Yes, it might slow things down. Yes, it might, it maybe if you want to look at it, the lesser of two evils, whatever. But I still, there's people who are hoping in that. There's people that are, boy, if Trump makes it, then everything is going to be better. Things will start getting better right away. And what I'm telling people is don't put your hope and your trust in that. But yeah, if you need to go vote, and vote your conscious vote who you believe is supposed to be in there. But your trust, if you're a Christian, your trust is still in Jesus Christ, and that's got to be where your hope and your trust is, because eventually, we do believe, even the economy, even if Trump does slow it down, well, a lot of people have said we've passed the point of no return, and then you throw on top of that all the other things that are very, very possible. Yeah, I do agree with you that we're going to see more Orlandos. It's just a matter of time, before we start seeing those, and probably more on a regular basis. To be honest, I don't want it to happen, but I'm surprised it's not happening more and more. I can see where something like that could shut down, transportation can shut down, could have people living in so much fear that things, just kind of shut down in this country. And so our faith and our trust has to be in Jesus Christ. That's got to be the ultimate answer.
Amen. Very, very well said. And on that note, it's not just Prepper website anymore. So, and like you said, you're a pastor in Katy. Would you like to tell the folks where your church is? Because I'm sure there's a lot of folks that would be willing to make a little bit of a drive to find a good church, because we looked and looked and looked when we moved to find a good church, and we've settled down now to a place that we're happy there, but it took a lot of prayer and it took a lot of looking, and I'm sure there's folks in your area that would love to know where your church is.
Yeah, definitely. We meet at a Christian school, and the website, you'll get all the information off the website. It's focuschurch.com, FOCUS church.com. And, even if you're interested in a little bit of prophecy, I did do on the slider that you see there. I did two sermons on prophecy, and from two different points of view, and you can get to it there. But Houston has really great freeways, and so if especially on a Sunday morning when there's not a lot of traffic, it's easy to travel and get somewhere. So if you are looking for a church that that preaches the Word of God, that follows the leading of the Holy Spirit, I'm definitely not one of those people that you're in and out in an hour. I believe in listening to the Holy Spirit and following the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit says, "Hey, take a little bit more time here in prayer. Take a little bit more time here during worship time." We're going to do that. And then you also know that if you're a prepper, then you're going to a church or you're visiting a church that the people there are open to that. And I am going to do a preparedness seminar, just kind of a basic preparedness seminar as an outreach of the church. So I'm kind of like when I talked about it, doing like a community garden stuff. If we had our own place, man, I would be doing that. I would have been doing it yesterday. But I am going to do a preparedness seminar, and I will be advertising that on Facebook and for the Houston area, and kind of targeting the Houston area. Kind of a basic, just a basic preparedness seminar. I am looking to do some cool things, maybe do some giveaways. And so the focus would be to do some basics of preparedness, talk about that, but then also bringing people in so that they might be able to meet other Christians who are preppers, and doing that. And so depending on how it goes, I might look to do that every quarter or so, and maybe bring in people. I know that we have people in the church who are into canning and into gardening. Have somebody in the church who is very much into ham radios. A guy who lives in Rosenberg, which is another suburb of Houston, but not too far away from where I'm at, is a firearms instructor, and he's like, "Todd, I will come." So I can foresee doing a seminar, and then having some booths opened up. I have some women in the church that are into essential oils, and can answer questions on those kinds of things. And so I can kind of see just kind of a couple of hours of people meeting each other and getting maybe some information, and learning a little bit about preparedness, and like I said, meeting people who are Christians who believe in preparedness. I think that's important to do. So we're looking to do that, I think, in September. So planning on that.
And besides Prepper website, you've got Prepper Church, and there's some other websites out there as well, right? Can you tell us all of those properties? edthatmatters.com, edthatmatters.com. That's kind of where I do my personal preparedness articles, if I have any, or if someone wants to send me a guest post that I feel that is, lives up to being a good post and not just some, there's a lot of people out there. I get probably about 3 emails a day with people who want to provide a guest post. And then I'm like, okay, well, send me what you have. And it's just junk. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So if people send me a good guest article, I will put it there and then link it to Prepper website. I also own and run topprepperwebsites.com. It's just a place where if you have a website, you can submit your website, and you get a link, a special link, that people that come to your website can vote for you. I just kind of got fed up a little bit with some of the websites out there that ranked preparedness blogs, because the way that they were ranking them, it didn't seem very accurate. And so this allows you, the people that are reading these preparedness websites, to go vote for your favorite prepper website, and you can do that daily. I have 200 spots. I've had to add spots because I've had so many, but I think right now, at the time of this podcast, it's about 198 websites that have registered.
and there's people that are always registering. And so, like, if you know the real popular websites, those are going to be at the top. But there's some other ones that are still putting out good content. They're just not as popular. So you can scroll down and you can hit those as well. And if you're interested in a devotional, I started kind of journaling online, and that's at 13gen.com, 13gen.com. And that's just a daily devotional that I do every morning, and I kind of put it out there. And my way of journaling, but also sharing it with other people. So a lot of things out there. Right now, I am focused a little bit more on, like I said, the spiritual side of things. So I don't focus too much on writing preparedness articles unless I really feel something come up, or I don't, even the spiritual preparedness articles, unless I really feel the Lord leading me to something that I need to do. So I'm not on a regular schedule of trying to post it just as it comes. But the daily devotional is something that I'm doing every day right now. Very good.
Well, thanks so much for making time to come back on the show.
Man, I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you're doing out there for the Christian prepper community, man, and writing the books that you're doing. They're great inspiration and great fiction, just great stuff to read, and to help us to see what's possible, what could be happening out there, and great books to increase our faith. So I appreciate what you're doing, man.
Get prepared before disaster strikes. PrepperRecon.com offers MOLLE-compatible individual first aid kits for your home, auto, or bug-out bag. These kits have everything you need to address a traumatic injury, including an Israeli battle dressing, quick clot, EMT shears, suture kit, steri-strips, tourniquet, tough strip bandages, and so much more. Kits are available in OD Green, Coyote, Black, and ACU. $99 includes shipping. Go to PrepperRecon.com and click the Store tab at the top of the home page. Order today before it's too late.
We just passed the 3rd anniversary of the Prepper Recon podcast, and it couldn't have happened without you. To say thanks, I want to send you a free PDF copy of the 7-Step Survival Plan. It's a basic blueprint that will help you to prioritize your efforts and make sure you're not missing any important areas of prepping. To get your free copy, simply go to PrepperRecon.com and click the 7-Step Survival Plan free PDF banner that's directly under the menu bar at the top of the homepage. Thanks again for 3 great years of the Prepper Recon podcast.